Thank you, thank you. Yeah. All right, so last time I spoke, I think I had more of a structured speech. I didn't really take many questions or suggestions, so I decided to do a little bit, take a different approach today. So I actually have the questions from the last time I spoke and the questions from last week, and I'm gonna do my best to try to answer all of those questions. But I wanna try to place what I do into context. There are many aspects to a business. You know, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's operations, whether it's HR, etc. And each one of us in the room somehow represent a subject matter expert, right? And while we probably can do a lot of other things, there's one thing by which we are the best at, which is the reason why we're in a business. I focus solely on revenue. It can be new business revenue or existing business revenue. It doesn't really matter. I am the revenue king, right? The way that I approach every time I sit down with a client, and I think that Jack can probably attest to this, Gabby can attest to this as well, is that I have a conversation with you about what your KPIs are, your key performance indicators are. And from there, I compare that against what you're currently doing today. Invariably, there will be a gap. About 80% of the companies or 80% of sales reps have a gap between what they're currently doing today and what they should be doing in terms of their targets. And essentially, I help them analyze the gaps, the reasons for the gaps, and what needs to be done in order to try to eliminate those gaps. Make sense? So I am strictly a revenue guy. Now, I will be changing the name of my companies because as I've gotten out and I've been doing my business since the 1st of January, its initial focus was upon sales training. Because from my experience, that tends to be the reason why sales reps or companies underperform, is because the reps don't have the right skill sets necessary to move a deal from beginning to end. What I found out along the way is that there are a lot of other things that are coming ahead of that, to where I can't even begin to have a conversation about sales training until we discuss establishing the sales process, building tools and resources necessary for the sales reps to be able to use, hiring, training, onboarding the sales reps themselves. So, because that is not a skill set, some of those skill sets are not something that I have internally, I'm also beginning to refer business out. Which is the reason for Bass, Christopher & Associates. You may be asking, well, why the name change? Why not Christopher Bass & Associates? As I did some research, I didn't know that Christopher Bass was such a common name. So, in order to identify a uniqueness, it was Bass, Christopher. It will be Bass, Christopher & Associates. Okay. So, one of the first questions that was asked is, do you help in obtaining new clients as well as selling to the existing ones? Yes. Because again, revenue is just not new business revenue. Revenue is also existing business revenue. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses tend to neglect or somewhat underappreciate the value of winning more business from their existing clients as well. I think they said it takes 10 times more revenue, 10 times more energy, 10 times more work to acquire a new client as it does simply just to farm your existing client base. So the answer to that question is yes, I do help in selling to the existing ones. What is an exit referral for me? That has actually kind of changed a little bit. What I've noticed is that some of the small business owners who could probably use the services, unfortunately, are not at the mindset yet to where they feel it's necessary to hire a subject matter expert. And what I've learned is that those businesses that tend to have been in business for at least 5 years or more, and realize that what they have been doing up to that point, while it has gotten to them to that point, will not help get them to the next level. And so therefore they understand the importance of hiring a subject matter expert. So a great referral for me is someone who has been in business for at least 5 years, who has a team of probably 5 or more inside or outside sales reps and are struggling to get to that next level. What they have been doing has worked, but it's no longer working to get them to the next level. So that is actually a great referral for me. What got me into this business? Well, I am 47 years of age, and I have been doing sales since my early 20s. And I first started sales as a means of just, having a job until I found a much better job, because I didn't think that sales would give me the ability of earning the kind of money that I wanted to make. But when I got into sales, I began to kind of excel at it after I had gone through a process of trying to find out what was working and what wasn't working for myself. And then I began to realize that the same way that I was great at, convincing my mom to do things for me, or getting a girl to go out with me, or the same skill sets that was necessary to be effective at selling. So it was just a natural transition for me. However, though, what I come to realize is I actually try to start 2 previous businesses, and those businesses were not successful. And so as I sat down on my 45th birthday and I said, you know what, I'm tired of working for someone else. What should I be transitioned to now? And there's a saying that you find the thing that you love to do, and you simply find a way of making money from that. And so that's what transitioned me into sales training, sales coaching, and sales consulting. Because that's been something that I've been great at over the past 25 years. And so if I'm going to start another business, then I might as well start a business in something that's my strong suit. What is the biggest mistake you have done or what you've learned? Well, I would probably say the biggest mistake that I've made is not making this decision to do this business 15 years ago, right? My challenge has always been that I've either reported to, as a sales director, I've either reported to the VP of sales or directly to the CEO. And invariably I get to the point to where the CEO and I, the VP of sales, always clash from a strategy standpoint. And I've wasted a lot of years, right, trying to convince them that my way was the right way. I mean, how many of us believe that our way is the right way? But eventually, if I hadn't made a decision to leave and start my business a lot sooner, then I probably would be further ahead. But many of us fail to make those decisions because out of fear, well, what if it doesn't work out? At that time, I was married, I had this huge mortgage, 2-3 cars, I had this lifestyle, so how can I go from making a solid 6 figures to starting a business where I don't even know if I'm going to be able to generate a salary from that? But long story short, if I hadn't made the decision to do this sooner, then I probably would be experienced a lot more success in what I'm doing. So it's basically just was delayed decision. So that would probably be the greatest decision and the greatest mistake that I've made.
2 minutes.
And I've been speaking for 8 minutes now.
Wow. Good.
Okay, so let me go through here.
Talk about how good Gary Monroe is.
Gary is great. Actually, Gary and I sat down for a coaching session. And, and actually, I'm going to speak about coaching sessions. Is one of the things that I stress that my clients do. I have a client right now that I'm serving as his interim sales director. He's been in business for about 6 years, but he really has not had a solid sales infrastructure to take his business to the level that he wants. And so I'm helping him with marketing, helping him with sales, helping him put together a selling system. And the thing that I emphasize over and over again, you got to get out. You got to get out, you got to meet people. I was having a conversation with Jack this week. My goal is to get out to at least 2 new events a week. The purpose for that is to meet new people so that I can either decide whether or not if they are someone that I potentially might want to do business with, or if they might become a power partner for later on. I also try to get out and have at least 2 to 3 sit-down meetings for me to try to learn a little bit more about people that are in my existing network. And what that has done for me over the past 6 months, it's actually gotten me to the point to where I am overbooked with clients to where actually I need some help. Right, and so my ask today is actually, if you know of a sales consultant, a sales rep, a sales trainer who would like to make some additional money on the side, send them my way, because I definitely can use the help. Okay? So with that stated, I guess I have a few minutes. Does anyone else have any questions? Man, I was that thorough. No questions.
You were
Yes.
great.
It's not a question, it's more like a for coming to our office on Wednesday. It was awesome.
Thank
We
you.
learned a lot, and I'm super glad that our staff is actually implementing what we learned on Wednesday so soon, so fast, and it's because you explained it so properly. They grasped it and they're putting it into practice. So I appreciate that, what you did for us, and I'm looking forward to the rest of our training. Thank you.
I paid her to say that, y'all. Just
Apparently well.
I paid her handsomely.
That's what team